In this class number 2 of our beginner chiller course, we are going to study the water-cooled condenser chiller. On the screen, we have a diagram that broadly represents the operation of a chilled water plant. As we explained in the previous class, class number 1, we provided a general description of how this type of system works. There, we analyzed the chilled water circuit located on the left side of the diagram, which includes the primary pump and secondary pump, responsible for sending water to the application and supplying the chiller so it can condition the fluid and return it at a low temperature. Let us remember that the main function of the chilled water plant is to remove heat from the water and transfer it to the environment. During this process, heat moves from the water to the chiller evaporator, cooler. Once there, the refrigeration circuit, through the refrigerant, carries that heat to the condenser. Inside the evaporator, the refrigerant is at a low temperature due to the low pressure created by the compressor suction. When pressure decreases, temperature also decreases, which allows heat from the water to transfer into the refrigerant. As a result, the refrigerant absorbs energy and evaporates, producing a phase change. It enters as a liquid and leaves as a vapor. Afterward, the vapor is drawn into the compressor, where it is compressed, increasing both its pressure and temperature, and then sent to the condenser. At this point, a fundamental process of the cycle occurs. The refrigerant must return to the liquid state. The simplest way to condense a substance is by increasing its pressure, because higher pressure forces the molecules closer together, facilitating the phase change from vapor to liquid. Therefore, the condenser requires two essential conditions: high pressure and cooling. When both are present, the refrigerant condenses quickly. In the previous class, we observed an air-cooled condenser, where fans forced air across the coil to dissipate heat. This type of equipment is called an air-cooled chiller. However, in this class number 2, we will study a water-cooled condenser. New layout with a water-cooled condenser. In this system, an additional circuit appears, so we now have 3 independent circuits: chilled water circuit, left, refrigeration circuit, center, and condenser cooling water circuit, right. It is very important to clarify that these circuits do not communicate with each other. There is no mixing of fluids or piping connections. There is only thermal exchange. The water used to cool the condenser is not chilled water. It is an independent circuit that operates approximately at ambient temperature, which is sufficient because the condenser operates at a higher temperature than the surroundings. To move this water, a condenser pump is used, responsible for circulating the flow through the condenser. The water absorbs heat from the refrigerant and then transports it to a new system component, the cooling tower. Cooling tower operation. The hot water coming from the condenser reaches the cooling tower, where another heat exchange occurs with the ambient air using fans. In this process, the water releases heat to the air and cools down before returning to the condenser. The main advantage of this method is that the water can reach temperatures close to the wet bulb temperature, while air is governed by the dry bulb temperature. This means that on average, the water temperature will be lower than the air temperature, promoting better heat transfer and facilitating heat removal from the condenser. As a result, the refrigeration system operates more relieved and efficiently. Operational considerations. This system requires an additional and constant water source because in the cooling tower circuit, part of the water evaporates during the process. Therefore, continuous makeup water is required. This does not happen in the chilled water circuit, which is practically closed and only requires makeup due to small leaks. In contrast, the cooling tower circuit is open to the environment, so evaporation is significant and must be constantly compensated. Advantages of a water-cooled chiller. The main advantage is that it makes heat removal at the condenser easier. This results in lower condensing pressures, less compressor workload, lower electrical consumption, higher energy efficiency, and better coefficient of performance, or COP. Since the compressor is typically the component that consumes the most energy, any reduction in its load has a positive impact on the total plant consumption. Although there is water consumption due to evaporation, this disadvantage is compensated by the overall energy savings of the system. Class conclusion. In this second class, we learned that there are chillers whose condensers are water-cooled, incorporating three independent circuits: chilled water circuit, left, refrigeration circuit, center, and condenser cooling water circuit, right. These circuits never mix, they only exchange heat. The heat flow occurs as follows: chilled water, refrigerant in the evaporator, condenser, cooling water, cooling tower, environment. In future classes, we will study more details about this installation and its components.